Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to Unity Orlando. Our opening statement this morning is I live and move and have my being in a sea of God life and God love. Let's all affirm that together. I live and move and have my being in a sea of God life and God love. All right, let's all close our eyes and take a nice deep breath in. And let's affirm that together in the silence. And so it is. And now, if you'd like to stand and help us sing our joy song this morning, it's called Sacred Space. I'm standing in a sacred space, one full of safety and grace, one feeling like my own place, and it's here, 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 and it's here. I'm living in a sacred space, one full of safety and grace, one feeling like God's own place, and it's here, 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 and it's here. I'm standing in a sacred space, one full of safety and grace, one feeling like my own place, and it's here, 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 and it's here. I'm living in a sacred space, one full of safety and grace, one feeling like God's own place, and it's here, 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 and it's here. Thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, Unity Orlando. How's everybody doing today? Good to see your gorgeous faces. Welcome in person and welcome online. I don't think we have any new faces. I recognize everybody, so I'm glad you're here with us. Just very brief announcements today. Just a reminder, our chaplains pray every evening at 8 p.m., and we invite you to join us. Just set your alarm and take a moment and join us in prayer. This month, which is ending soon, the theme is Christ is the way. So next week we'll have a new theme. Also a reminder, chaplains are here to pray with you after service. Right now I'm the only chaplain in the house, but see me after service if you would like prayer. Let's see, Reverend Bob's lesson this morning is Achieving Stillness. But before I turn it over to Brian, I have a little story to tell you. So this was about the Pope and a businessman. And during an audience at the Vatican, a businessman approached the Pope with an offer. He said, change the last line of the Lord's Prayer from give us our daily bread to give us our daily chicken. And KFC will donate $10 million to Catholic charities. The Pope declined, of course, but 2 weeks later he was back, and this time he offered a $50 million donation. Again, the Pope declined. So a month later, the man returns, he's persistent, with a $100 million donation offer, and this time the Pope accepts. So at a meeting of the cardinals, the Pope announces his decision in the good news, bad news format. He says, the good news is that we have $100 million for charities. The bad news is we lost the Wonder Bread account. You like that? Yeah. Okay, good. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Finally, no more Wonder Bread. Artesian bread, that's the way to go. Yeah. You're going to eat bread. Might as well eat the real stuff. All right, cool. So this is a song here inspired by our monthly affirmation. It's called Sea of Loving Light. I could settle for a decent peace of mind. I could learn, I could go to school and in time live carefree and walk in style. Take a breath and relax for a while so I could think of a better life to live and move and have my being in a sea of loving light. My mind is ready to experience your kindness. I am here to live as myself in timelessness. All I'm saying is I feel real good when I'm not took for granted and I'm understood. So I could think of a better life to move and live and have my being in a sea of loving light. In a sea of loving light. Reaching out for the purest form of love. I've been looking for the answers below and above. Coming through me, flowing through my heart. Divine wisdom, let me truly start so I could live a better life in love and move and have my being in a sea of loving light. In a sea of loving light. In a sea light.
That was wonderful. And you have no idea how appropriate that was to today's talk. Good morning, everyone who's at home, and good morning, everyone who's here. It's wonderful to be back with you. To come back and hear this music department again. I love that. And to see all of your faces and to know the rest of those faces are in there. Okay, there we go. I understand that Paul did an outstanding job on a truly difficult subject last week. And the week before, Reverend Lulu did a wonderful job also. So it's my sincere hope that you're ready to have me back. It's good to be back with you. Patty and I were in Yakima, Washington. You know, just before I left, someone came up to me and says, "Where are you going?" I said, "Yakima, Washington." And they said, "On purpose?" I went, "Yes, Patty's got roots there." And it was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was like Colorado, but it wasn't Colorado. You know, we were on the dry side. Yakima's on the dry side of the mountains. And yet, there are these huge rivers go down through their valleys. And I guess they do a lot of irrigation. The place is just filled with orchards, vineyards, all kinds of fruit grows in this valley. It's absolutely amazing. In fact, Patty says that Yakima means the Valley of the Big Belly. And that was because it was all volcanic soil that's there, and it's so rich, and it grows such wonderful fruits and vegetables and so forth. So anyway, we enjoyed Yakima, and then we spent time, in Yakima, Patty had some very good friends, a very good friend of hers from, back in her 20s. But they've kind of kept connection. You know, sometimes you connect with people and you keep that connection forever. And they were wonderful hosts. Her husband, Tom, it was Mara Lee as her friend, and her husband, Tom, had been the president of, the CEO of the fruit co-op in the territory called Treetop. Evidently, if you have anything that's got apple as an ingredient in it, they supplied it. So in any case, it was wonderful. They're also total fitness nuts. They ride bikes up mountains for fun. And one morning she got up and went off to the mountains to run 18 miles in the mountains for fun before she started her day. And we're thinking, you guys are just showing us up like crazy. We went off to Mount Rainier. We didn't make it down to Mount St. Helens. Someone had said, "I know it hasn't erupted for 40 years, but do you really want to take the chance of you going there?" You know? Actually, no. It was a little further to go, and we were told that we were on a short period of time, and we spent it all with Mount Rainier. It's gorgeous there. Absolutely gorgeous. And we have some wonderful pictures that we cannot show you because we didn't send them to Linda. Maybe one day. But the air is dry, so though it got to the 90s, it didn't feel bad to us. And it would go down into the 50s and 60s at night. It was really nice. Of course, a little colder up in the mountains, even a little colder at night up in the mountains. We stayed at this ski resort which caters to hikers during the summer. And they do have a gondola that will carry you to the top of the mountains. So we went up there. They had a little restaurant, had lunch at the top of the mountain, and this absolutely unspoiled view of Mount Rainier, which is stupendously majestic and totally covered in snow. It's amazing, even this time of year. It was a wonderful experience. I had a great time, and Patty had a truly ecstatic time touching. She has a real connection to those mountains. Now, while I was gone, it's just of note, I had one more big thing happen in my life. While I was gone, you know, my parents' property, the Pyramid House, and the 40 acres that goes with it belongs to my sister and I. Not anymore. It closed. Wow. You know, 3 weeks. It closed, full price offer to a young man who loves the property and the house. Now that's a miracle. And has the money to fix it up properly. So essentially, my parents' dream will live on with a whole new life now. And we're quite happy with that. It was the perfect buyer. Now, I understand one more thing happened while I was gone, and it was around here. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but we had a serious leak over there on that side of the sanctuary. And it's just, you know, it kind of pours in water when it rains and so forth. And we had some people who got up on that roof and did a repair job for us on that section of the roof. Now, the whole thing will probably need to be replaced at some point, but we hired some people to come in and take care of that section before the whole thing fell down, right? In any case, tell me, would you go find my blue cup on my desk in my office and put some water in it for me? That's, you know, I'm gone for 2 weeks and I can't remember the basics of what I've got to have up here. I don't get it. Okay. I chose one of my favorite topics to come back to. I wanted my first talk back to be something that I really enjoy talking about. And so the title is Achieving Stillness. Stillness. Early on in my training to become a Unity minister, we did a lot of work in the area of understanding the difference between thinking and doing and being. Being is so important to the path we walk. Learning to be. We spend 99% of our time in doing and thinking. We're in our minds. Have you ever gotten beyond your mind? You know, beyond your mind is what I call the big room. And when you're in the big room, you look back at this little intellect just chattering away. And it's like watching a toddler. The big room is about being. Not about running your mind, not about moving your body, and it's not about activity. It's about the timelessness of stillness. You know, we often think that our purpose lies in what we're going to do. I have to do this or do that. That's my purpose. And I often like to say those are secondary purposes. Your real purpose is to be where you are. Your being is more powerful than you imagine. We all think it's about thinking up great ideas and doing things. But being is your purpose, to be where you are, to be who you are, where you are. You say, well, but I didn't do anything, and that's the point. Being is about being that catalyst. When your being is in a place, it is powerfully effective on everything around you, just because you are there. Your sense of being in this space. And so many things happen because you were there. You didn't do them. You had nothing to do with it, except that you, by being there, were the catalyst by which things begin to happen. You affect everything with your being, everything around you. And in the end, the reason that we try to get beyond thinking and doing into being is because the experience of God comes in stillness. In Unity, we call ourselves mystical Christianity. And what is mysticism? The goal of mysticism is the experience of God. That's why you're here, whether you realize it or not. People think they came here to get rich, to get healed, to get this or to get that. Ultimately, you came here to experience God. And when you've done that, the other follows. That's how it works. And that experience of God, it's in stillness. To truly experience God within you, you're going to have to get past yourself. You're going to have to get past the little chattering toddler mind and experience the presence. Even Elijah experienced God in the silence, in the stillness. Notice he did not find his guidance from God. He went to connect with God and get that guidance he needed to know what to do. And he goes into this cave. He's all by himself, goes out on the edge of this mountain. He's looking out across. And of course, first there's a wind tearing everything up. And it says, and God was not in the wind. There's fire moves through everything. God was not in the fire. There's an earthquake, shakes the very ground they're on. And God was not in the earthquake. It says, and after all that activity, there was this moment of stillness. And it was in the stillness that Elijah heard the still, small voice of God within him. Whether it's guidance or just feeling loved, or just dwelling in God's presence and knowing all is well. The doorway into the experience of God is stillness. But in the end, it's not an easy thing to learn. I've told many times in the past my story of when I was 15 and my dad learned to meditate. We had found unity and, he'd prayed to God and all of that, but hey, this was the moment of experiencing God. That's what meditation is about. It's about entering into the experience. It's about listening to God, you might say, instead of talking to God. There's a thing called active meditation where you do the other side of it. But the real passive meditation is listening to the presence. So, Dad's trying to master this idea. And what it amounts to, I, as a 15-year-old, notice my dad's going in every night and he's sitting in the living room. You've heard it before, but this is precisely what we're talking about today. He's sitting in there in his favorite chair in the dark for about a half hour every night. Finally, I said, okay, I know you're trying to meditate, because I'd been attending Unity too, so I understood. What do you do when you're in there? What are you doing? And he said, nothing. Well, that made absolutely no sense to me. When are you doing nothing? You got to be doing something. What are you doing? And finally, after several nothings, he said, okay, let me try to describe what I'm doing. He says, every night I go and I sit in this chair and I quiet my body, I relax my body, and I quiet my mind. And I try to become very still. And I simply wait on God's presence. That's it? Yep, that's it. And it definitely worked for him, because that state of meditation healed him at one point and became the very engine behind his spiritual path. In the end, learning to be still became the engine behind mine. Achieving stillness is the challenge that everyone who waits on God must conquer. Psalm 37:7, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Or 46:10, which is my favorite, be still and know I am God. Be still and know the presence within you. Or Psalm 62:1, for God alone my soul waits in silence. In silence. That's what Charles Fillmore called the deepest stage of meditation, silence, a stage in which you quit doing anything and you experience it all. Or Lamentations 3:1-2. The Lord is good to him who waits for him, to the soul who seeks him. It is good for a man that he should hope for and quietly wait for the Lord. The experience of God. That's what mysticism is all about. In the end, it's not about the rules of behavior. We hope you'll follow good rules of behavior. It's not about thinking. It's about being in the presence of God. Getting away from the 99% of your life when you're thinking and doing, when you're active, and taking a moment to contemplate who I am, not what I do and not what I think, but what I am. To feel it. You're going to have to move out of your head and into your heart to accomplish that. We strive to achieve stillness for the experience of God, because this experience, you say, well, I still have a life to live, right? Absolutely. But the experience of God will put you in a higher energy state where everything goes quite differently. The experience of God brings harmony, order, peace, and goodness into your life. And I'm going to quote for Lamentations again, "The Lord is good to those who wait for him." Life, the catalyst, that moment of stillness is the catalyst for the goodness of life. So, I want to talk about seizing the moment, because I believe we define it wrongly. Usually when someone says seize the moment, they want you to stand up and do something. But you go, let's examine this. When you're doing something, it's a flow of moments. It's going from one moment to the next, and it's all about the flow. When you're thinking, it's all about the flow of the thoughts. If you're really going to seize the moment, you got to stop everything and experience that moment fully. When you're doing, you're kind of watching the moments fly by. And a lot of life, that's what we have to do. I get that. But we need a little bit of our life to be that catalyst for good, where we stop and seize that moment and experience it fully. We become immersed in this moment, not in the next moment coming and looking down the road and doing this and feeling this, et cetera, but in this moment. Can you feel this moment in the timeless now? Most people who go into meditation will come back and report, I got this space where I was totally timeless. Yeah. For a moment, you got into the timeless now. You say, okay, what does this do for me? When you've taken a few moments to experience the stillness, to experience the moment fully, to be in that state where, I am still, and I can sense that presence that underlies all of life. And I can even sense it inside of me. You don't have to stay there. But if you're there for a few moments, you can follow it by doing something, and your doing becomes much more effective, and you are much more capable after a moment of stillness just prior to what you do. The real holiness of the moment is in experiencing it fully. Not just glancing over it, but experiencing it fully. So today I want to go through a number of ways to achieve stillness. Because I said, it ain't easy. Sounds like it is, but it's not. If you've ever tried to quiet your mind entirely, if you've ever tried to quit looking down the road and start just being in this moment, it takes some work. So, I've got a number of practices here, all of which work with learning to still and get beyond yourself and experience the presence of God. And the very first one comes from a book that my father gave me while I was still in high school. And I've still got the copy he gave me. It's a little book about so big, and it's called The Impersonal Life. And it starts off by saying, use this statement over and over, be still and know that I am God. You can take one line out of it. It says, say it 1,000 times a day until every cell of your body thrills in joyful response to the command, be still. Be still and know I am God. Someone said, how can you say that up there? You're telling them you're God. No, I am not. I am telling you, I am simply mouthing the call from deep within every single one of us. Be still and know I am God. Do what the book says. Say it over thousands of times a day until the very thought of stillness thrills your whole body, your whole being. Then you know how to become still. The second practice is in meditation, quiet the mind and be in the moment timelessly. Can you do that? Can you just be where you are? You're going to have to explore being versus doing and thinking. And being, whether you realize it or not, is much more powerful. Being. In this moment. Can you be in this moment? You're going to have to become extremely aware. You are going to immerse yourself. Number one, you're going to move out of your head and into your heart. You're going to have to feel. Because feeling is something you do in the now. Thinking is a flow. Feeling. You can feel, I don't know. Feel what this moment truly feels like. What does this moment feel like? You're going to listen to everything. You're going to sense the feeling in the air. You're going to pay attention to all the things we gloss over when we are flowing from moment to moment to moment to moment. And we're all in the flow instead of in the stillness of the moment. So take a moment. Seize the moment. Take a moment to experience it. The timelessness of this moment. Number 3. Well, I've already started that, haven't I? Stop throughout your day and seize the moment. Seize the moment. Feel the moment intensely. The feeling in the air. The buzz of activity all around you. The presence of the other people around you. And take a moment to feel the holiness of this moment. This moment is holy if you stop to experience it. The fourth suggestion is to stop at times throughout your day to simply feel the glory of life shining through nature. Nature is my temple, no doubt about it. Maybe that's why we enjoyed Mount Rainier so much. Nature's my temple. It's Patty's too. When you stop to feel the glory in nature, it's amazing. I will take people out and try to do this with them. And the first thing they do is I say, just feel it. And they take a moment and they say, oh, that's pretty. I went, no, you missed the point. You just made a judgment. We're not going to judge that it's pretty. We're going to experience the glory. When you look at a sunset and you're going to sit there the whole period when it starts to set through when it's completely down, you're going to get tired of saying that's pretty or naming colors. Those are all things the mind does. But if you can take a moment to be one with it, with that sunset, and just be the colors changing in this moment, you can actually feel the emotion of the sunset. And it's absolutely glorious. It defies words. And you will not be stuck trying to put it into intellectual concepts. You're there to experience it. You can feel the energy in the wind. Just stand there. Take it in. Feel the energy and the glory of that energy. And you can perceive God, divine life shining through the plants, the trees, the insects, the animals, through all of nature around you. You can feel the life of God shining through it. And when you do, it fills you with a sense of glory. And that's the experience of God. Now let's go a different way and say that in meditation, how often have you said, people try to analyze God and say, God is a certain frequency. Now, I find that amusing, but it actually works. You can actually listen for a vibration that is underneath all of life. You're going to have to quiet yourself totally to hear that. You're going to have to get past everything that you know as an outer vibration. Even your body vibrations, all of it. You've got to say, okay, that's that. What's underneath that? What's underneath that? What's underneath that? Now, this is a process, so consequently, your mind kind of likes it for a while. But eventually, you're going to have to leave the mind behind, and you are simply listening with your heart, with your feeling nature. In the same way you would be straining to hear a conversation going on, a quiet conversation on the other side of the room. It's as if your entire focus is on that. And when your entire focus is on hearing what is underneath it all, you may eventually begin to sense that vibration. And when you do, there'll be a thrill to your being. The thrill of knowing I've touched what's underneath it all. Now, we started off with the affirmation, be still and know that I am God. But the one that Brian sang, that's just as effective. I live and move and have my being in a sea of God life. Or as he said, a sea of loving life. As you'll see in a moment, I'm going to add that other quality in here. I live and move and have my being within a sea of God life. That's got to quit being a concept and start being an experience. We got to get beyond the intellectual concept to the experience of being immersed in a sea of God's loving life. I have found it intriguing. See, I like to do all kinds of weird things. So consequently, when I'm swimming in the ocean, I sit there and go, okay, this is a great time to do this. You know, I'm in a sea. I'm in a physical sea, so this is helpful. I'm in a sea of loving life, a sea of God life. And you say, well, I don't go to the ocean, then do it in the pool. Or just do it standing wherever you are, sitting wherever you are. But feel that you're in that sea. Don't just think you are. Feel that sea of God all around you. And when you can do that, make it a sea of loving life. Realize I am cherished by this sea. I am cherished by God's love. And dwell not just being immersed in God, but being immersed in God's love. You touch that one, your life's going to change. For the better. So we're down to number 7, which is my last one. Make this a habit. Before you do anything, and there's a lot of things in life that we need to do. Before you do anything, take a moment to know you are in a sea of God's loving life, and God's holy presence is right there in this situation. We're in the sea. Take a quick moment to be in God's presence. Then do whatever life requires of you. You don't have to stay there forever. You just have to touch it for a moment. And then when you do, you're going to do far more effectively than you ever would have before. So, when you are in that moment, know that God paves the way before you. As you come out of that moment of being in God's presence, God paves the way before me now that I'm moving back into the flow, away from the static moment. I'm back into the flow. God is paving the way before me no matter what the appearance. So, let me wrap it up and say, achieving stillness is one of the most important spiritual tasks before us in this life. You can think about God. You can do good things. But You never get past yourself to the actual experience of God until you can get still and feel that presence right there within you. Once you master the command, be still and know I am God. Once you master that, you can use your moments of stillness in God's presence to carry you through all the outer activities that your life entails. This mastering stillness, this being in God's presence, it's the one thing that in the end will make your life worthwhile, worth living. The experience of God. The experience of God makes it worth it to do all the rest. Let's close our eyes. Deep breath and sigh it out. It's time to let go of the body. Feel it relaxing. Be still. And the body lets go. Be still. And we let our roving mind go. Be still. And we reach out to embrace this moment that we live in. And the call from within continues, be still and know I am God. Be still. And in the stillness, beyond the wind and the fire and the earthquake, in the stillness that lies beyond all the activity, be in God's presence. I live and move and have my being in a sea of God's loving life. I live and move and have my being within a sea of God's loving life. And feel the sea all around you. And as vast as that is, feel that same sea of God's loving life within you, reaching into even greater vastness. Be still and know I am God. I am the presence within you. I am the life underneath all of life. And I am home for each and every one of you. The presence of God. I am home. And in this moment, right now. You are in God's presence. This moment is holy. Feel it. Become extremely aware of this moment, the feeling in the air, the people around you, the buzz of activity beyond our doors, this breath that I'm breathing. Feel yourself floating in a sea of life, loving life, floating in the eternal now. And from this eternal now, we look out at the world around us, and in our mind's eye, we see the glory of life shining through everything, and we feel it. We feel the presence of God underneath all creation, timeless, eternal. And as we do, we know this moment truly is holy. I am immersed in God's love. And I know all is wonderfully well. For I am in the presence of God. Thank you, God, for the glory of life. Amen. That the usher will come forward. We'll prepare for our offering. All of you at home, the way you give your offering, well, I haven't done it in a couple of weeks, but I'll bet you still know how it goes, unless you're new. So if you're new, here we go. Following service, you'll go to the home page. You'll hit the Donate Now button where you can use a credit card or PayPal, or you can pull off our address and mail us a check. And for those of you who are wanting to give regularly, you can call the office and set up for regular offerings to be taken out, if that's easier for you. In either case, your support is what keeps us going, and we are deeply appreciative. We who are here are going to hold that offering in our hands, and all at home, you're going to hold the thought of what you're about to give in your hands, and we're going to affirm together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. Thank you, God. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Bob, and it's awesome to have you back. And here's a song that I wrote in the eye of a hurricane, Hurricane Charlie, in the middle of the night. It's called Love Begins. Traveled lives a time before. Now my mind's an open door. 1,000,000 miles across the floor. Take a few or less or more. One thing I have is a light within, and it shadows over sin. And then I feel love begin. I felt and seen the things you did. Some things weren't pretty. I'll block your fear if you'd let me in. You feel extraordinary, and I feel love now, it's close. Sometimes I fall to a place within. I'm feeling solitary, and all my thoughts, they become thin. It's like I'm light and airy, and then I feel God's love begin, where only souls may tarry, and then I feel love begin, and then I feel love begin, and then I feel love begin, love begin, love begin, love begin.
Ah, that was wonderful. You seem to be absolutely tuned in. Ah, wonderful way to end this service. Love begins. Whether you're watching from home or here in person, thank you for being my spiritual family, for being Unity Orlando. Because it's you. You're Unity Orlando. Next Sunday, I'll be speaking on cooperation, not competition. The next step in human evolution. Let's all rise and radiate into the whole world our prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you. Have a